Hello and welcome to a special three-part podcast series presented by Pavion to celebrate Women's History Month. I'm your host, Michelle Dawn Mooney. In this series, we are highlighting the voices of women within the company who have overcome challenges and driven meaningful change. In each episode, you will hear from female employees at Pavion who will share personal stories of resilience and the humanitarian work that has shaped their careers. Plus, we'll talk about the women in history who have inspired them to keep pushing forward. I want to introduce you to our guests, Tracy Brewer, Karina St. Jean, and Susan Post. I'm going to start off by first thanking you all for being here today. Thank you for being with me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Looking forward to the conversation. Before we kind of dive into some questions, Tracy, starting with you, can I have you give us a brief bio so people can learn a little bit about you before we kind of get into this conversation?
Of course. My name is Tracy Brewer. I am the Director of Implementation at Pavion. I've been with the company for about 4 years.
And Karina.
Hi, I'm Karina St. Jean. I'm one of the HR directors at Pavion, and I've been with the company since 2022.
And Susan?
Hi, Susan Post. I'm the Chief Integration Strategy Officer. I've been with Pavion just about 3 years and excited to do this again with you, Michelle.
I am really excited about this. I've been looking forward to this. So let's start off here because we are going to kind of weave history into where we are now and how you've been inspired by some women in history. We're going to talk a lot about that and some other things. But what are some of the most significant contributions that women have made in history that you would say continue to inspire change today?
I think I'll take that first and then throw it to Tracy and Karina. I think it's around resilience, right? Resilience and tenacity to really promote betterment, right? Whether it be with your family, whether it be in business, whether it be in education. I think for me, it's really about the tireless effort people put forth in making the world better. And that may sound cheesy in some regards, given sometimes the environment and the landscape that we all see in front of us. But I do think perseverance, resilience, and so on is really what makes me really appreciate what folks have done before me.
Yeah. And, I was going to talk about the theme of perseverance as well. I think, anytime you try something new or try to get into something that is new or different, right, you're going to hit some roadblocks, and just trying to keep going, trying something new and a different way to get something done or achieve a goal is definitely something that as we talk into people who've inspired us and stuff, that we will, look at those contributions and how they overcame challenges.
Yeah, I would agree. And my two words, I think, are going to be triumph and adversity. And I think as we look at the history of women and achieving goals, overcoming the triumph through it, or achieving triumph through adversity, is a huge accomplishment to talk about.
So I know all of you have chosen one person, and there may be many more, but at least one person in history, an influential woman who has inspired you or maybe has given you a lesson that you have taken to heart. Karina, starting with you, could you share who that person would be and why?
Yeah, so that's Amelia Earhart, right? So female pilot. And one of the things as I was even learning more about her was that she started this organization and co-founded it called the 99s, right? Which supported female pilots. And I think that is something that's a way to give back, right? So not only can people see you succeeding in your role, but you're also helping other women who want to get into being pilots through mentorship and training and advocacy and giving them a path. So you're taking, what she did was she created a path for women, right? And then helped other women also succeed in achieving their goals in becoming pilots.
And what about you, Susan?
I look in reflected upon Marie Curie, right? She's responsible for working with plutonium and radium and so on, and working tirelessly to the point of physics that it impacted her early death. She died at 66 as a result of working a lifelong path with radium, right? So I think she came into an environment as a scientist that was not known to be heavily female, really just never lost faith in what she was trying to accomplish, to the point that Albert Einstein had wrote a letter to her saying that of all the people that have encountered fame, she was least impacted or corrupted by it, and she really had made it her life's work to make the world a better place in the effort of science.
And what about you, Tracy?
So I took some time to reflect on Catherine Switzer. She was the first woman in 1967 to run the Boston Marathon. And she actually did so under an alias, and they thought that she was male. And she's really paved a way for women to be able participate in really what was once a male-dominated sport. And now in 2025, there's about 10,000 women that qualified for the Boston Marathon. She's also similar to Amelia Earhart. She created a nonprofit organization to help support women become leaders and empower them through running, which I think is a great mental health support system.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, that she was running under the guise of a man because times were different back then. So I want to talk about some of those challenges that women in history faced in achieving influence. How did they overcome them? So any thoughts there on some of the things that you've seen with even some of the examples we've just heard, but maybe any other examples you'd like to bring to the table?
I think for me, right, to bring to the table, it's about the work. It's about who's putting forth the effort to create a better environment. And many times we get hung up into the who and not the how. And I think for me, when I read more about Curry and what she did along with her husband, it's about how and how it progressed, right? We tend to sometimes focus a lot on the who, but I do think we need to also look at the how. That makes sense.
Yeah. And with Catherine, when she was training, she trained with a male cross-country coach. And to prove that her body was capable of running the marathon, she actually trained and ran 31 miles instead of 26. And to me, even running 20 miles would be frightening. So running 31 just to prove that you can do it. I think it's all about proving and working hard to that goal to show people that you're capable of what you could do.
Yeah, and Amelia Earhart, she had a famous saying, right? So women must try to do things as men have tried. When they fail, their failure must be but a challenge to others, right? And so it could be something simple, like she wore pants, right? Which women didn't wear pants back then, right? And that's challenging a societal norm. And there's going to be some things that women have done through time and they fail, but men fail as well when they try something new. And so it ties back to that perseverance of really pushing and continuing to try something new, try something different, even if it's just different because of your gender.
And I think that's really important, right? The pants thing may seem small, but when you think back of any of your challenges that you have worked through in your life, it's, I've always said to my team, my family, whomever wants to listen, it's a game of inches, right? And that's why you have to approach any challenge as a game of inch, because if you try to do it all at once, it becomes insurmountable, it becomes huge, right? But if you approach it as a game of inches, you're able to push through things much more than looking at it holistically.
I remember a commencement speech very famously by, not to take it off women here, but Denzel Washington, the famous actor, had said that if you're not failing, you're not even trying. So we talk about, failure, but it's not failure if it's pushing you forward and getting to that next step. So I want to talk about that. How do women turn barriers or those so-called failures into opportunities for change and progress?
In my mind, it's about being comfortable in your own skin to understand that you do deserve a seat at the table, right? In that barrier, the person sitting to your left or right has same challenges, right? And I think if you have confidence in yourself and faith in that you can drive forward, that you overcome the barrier and ask the question, right? Don't be afraid to ask the whys, right? And I think many times you find yourself in situations that you assume that everybody thinks you know all of the answers, and you don't. And if you're comfortable in your own skin to ask those questions, I challenge that you do.
Yeah, and if you're not comfortable, to your point, Susan, start small, right? And, one of the things that, I'll often hear from women, and I remember feeling this way as well, is, talking in a meeting, right? Commanding some presence in the room. And there's little steps that people can take to do that. Maybe it's asking a question. Maybe it's sitting in the front. Maybe it's making a suggestion, but you don't have to do it all at once, right? Take the little steps until you build that confidence to try and so that you're comfortable with it.
And one thing for me, and I struggle with this sometimes, and I tell myself, fake it till you make it. And I ask the questions, and I'm like, I will say, try to not subdue myself in a meeting, and I try to ask the questions if I don't know it. But if you aren't confident in yourself right away, it's pretend you do. Pretend you have the confidence, and that's a little step you can take, I think.
Yeah, and we have to think of it. Nobody knows everything at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't learn unless we ask those questions, and that's how we get better. So is there a woman in your life, not necessarily historically speaking, but somebody in your life who has inspired you, if you can share that, and why they inspire you?
I would like to say it was my mother, right? And for me, my mother, who was a stay-at-home mom till late in life, and went out and, due to circumstances, had to balance early on. She had to balance a work, a job, raising a family, and despite all that, she didn't take no for an answer. And I think when I think back to the times where, as she retired and took the next phase of her life, she still didn't take no. And she always challenged us kids to say, hey, if a door closes, it's because another one's opening, and those type of things. And I always, you as you age, you begin to take those nuggets of advice and realize how much truth was in the fact that failure is not an option. You have to do certain things to maintain certain things in life, and you create your own opportunities. And I think that was the message my mother always came back and said, you make your opportunities your own.
I was going to go off what Susan said, and I would agree. And my inspiration is my mother. She's shown me so much strength. My mom was diagnosed with stage 5 colon cancer, and she was the parent who held medical benefits in our family. And she went through treatment and surgeries, all while working full time and providing for her and our family. And to Susan's point, sometimes you just have to be strong enough to get through it at the end of the day, and you have to do what needs to be done to persevere at the end of the day. And she really showed me true strength, physically and mentally, in order to get through what she got through. And sometimes you just do what you have to do. And she really showed me that you can do hard things.
I have a work example. I mean, my mom's great, but I've been really fortunate in my career to work on many HR teams that were led by women. And I spent 14 years at a global business law firm and had a HR director who just created opportunities for us on the team, right? And whether it was giving a presentation, going to a leadership meeting, going to a training, traveling when we did an acquisition, being there, being present, like they very deliberately always helped us get those opportunities so that we could challenge ourselves, learn a new skill. And that's something that I have tried now, as in my role now that I have direct reports and team members, making sure that if we're doing something like a training session, right, that we have somebody else on the team lead that and do something different. Or if we have an acquisition and there's, a presentation that we have to do, that they get the opportunity to learn how to do, to talk with new employees and answer the questions and stuff like that. And I've taken that to heart as I've developed in my career to make sure that we're creating those opportunities.
Tracy Brewer, Karina St. Jean, and Susan Post, thank you for your time and being part of this special series, and loved hearing your thoughts, and I'm sure others will as well. So appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
And I want to thank all of you for listening to today's episode of our Women's History Month series. We hope you have been inspired by the stories of strength and perseverance shared by our amazing women. Be sure to check out the next episode in the series, where we will continue celebrating the incredible women who make a difference every day. Thanks again for joining us. I'm your host, Michelle Dawn Mooney. We hope to connect with you on another podcast soon.